across the world, and welcome to another Who Corner to Corner podcast. I'm Paul, I'm with Geoff, and we are joined tonight by our very special guest stario, Mr. Al Dewar from Character Options. Hello, Al. How you doing, mate? All right.
I'm clapping myself. I shouldn't really be doing that. Yeah, I'm very good. Very good. Very
excellent.
Good. Looking forward to Christmas well, unless this is going out in July, in which case that means nothing.
It might come out in Christmas 2030 or something like that, in which case you can tell us all about all the brilliant stuff that's going to happen in the next 4 years from Character Options. Don't even worry about non-disclosures or anything like that, because it'll all be out there by then.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Everybody's busy. So, Geoff, you're busy as well. You've got a lot of stuff going on as we wind into Christmas. Lots of filming and things.
Yeah. I've been out filming. I had a double session this week. I went down to Worthing to film at a car garage. Had a frankly terrifying moment where the wind picked up and I couldn't get the drone to come back to me. And I was commanding it toward me and it was going no and flying away from me. And I had a moment.
Not under control. I have free will, damn you.
Yeah.
I'll do my own thing.
The wind was so strong it couldn't move against it. And I had a brief couple of minutes where I thought, I think I've lost this
under control, and then
I thought it's going down on the roof of that building over there, an industrial unit, and then I managed to get it down enough to sort of be out of the main blast of the wind, because it was behind a building then at this point, and I started walking.
Sounds like a script from Final Destination.
Yeah. I was thinking more like Some Mothers Do Have Them or something. Yeah. Really, can you imagine that in the modern day? Frank Spencer flying a drone.
More Final Destination, really. And I had it hovering, and I tilted the camera down and looked around to see where I was, and I was like, right, I recognise that building. And then I managed to land. I brought it down, and I thought, nope, that's a giant great bush that it's going in. Move it over the fence, down onto the grass, and then the battery died, so the feed cut off. So I had to go and try and find it. So I spent about 5 minutes wandering around going, oh, it's near this building. Oh, there it is. So I found it. No casualties, no injuries, no loss of equipment, no smashed cars. So that was all right. But
if it cuts power when it's up, does it drop like a stone, or does it do like a helicopter and just auto kind of
ride the downdrafts?
It tries to return home when the battery reaches a certain point, and so
go home. Drone home drone.
It shoots right up in the sky to avoid potentially anything tall, and then comes back to the home point that you've locked it on. But it tried doing it, but it
kind
couldn't because of the wind.
A crazy robot vacuum cleaner type thing, Roboto, what they call them. Imagine that.
Yeah, but you could seriously maim someone if you hit someone with it.
Do you know what? I'll be honest, Geoff. When I asked you this question, I had literally no idea it was going to go in this direction. But thank you for that. Well, upwards is always good.
I wish the drone had gone in a different direction instead of away from me.
What an insight into your daily dramas. Trials and tribulations.
And then
what were you filming?
A car garage. They have a kind of roadside assistance thing, and we were right by the coast in Worthing, so of course that made the wind even stronger. Yeah, and it I was like, right, it's settled down enough. I'll send it up, and as it was up, it picked up and got worse. And then after that, I drove back up to near Guildford and filmed some stuff at the house used in BBC Ghosts series.
You've been there a few times, haven't you?
Yeah.
You tart.
When you do your filming at funeral directors, do you call that the graveyard shift, or is it just just not?
Well, actually, there is a bit of
I'm trying to make my inner Basil
to it all. Yeah. Tell you what.
Nice to see Mr. Geoff.
Hilarious.
I have been in a couple of cemeteries for that stuff. Yeah, yeah. Do you get
That's not like you, Geoff, hanging around.
No. Fortunately, in the daytime, it's all right. It's not scary, but you get special black cones that say funeral on them for parking. And the people were joking, oh, we're going to steal a black funeral cone. And I was like, oh, they're just being silly. Then I saw one. I was like, oh, you actually get black funeral cones. Yeah. So,
black funeral cones.
You know what it is. You can pay your respects accordingly, so to speak.
Well, or park correctly.
Quite good for scattering ashes if a drone could get decent distance out.
Well, you could do that. Just have a little tip bucket on the top of it. So
Like if you were like, I want to be scattered on a mountain, you'd be like, well, bugger, flying on a mountain. You just send a drone up and
don't get Geoff to do it. You'll end up scattered on the roof
Yeah,
of a car garage.
you'd be the wrong direction.
Or
Yeah.
lost in the
He
bush
ended up
somewhere.
on the top of the Buffy at number 42.
Anyways, as fun as this is, we didn't come here to talk about drones and bus garages and black funeral cones. Although
If you've
we
enjoyed
can,
that
obviously.
discussion, do let us know, because I've
You
got
don't
more
have
of
to.
that.
You really don't. Ignore Geoff. We are here to talk about a few things Doctor Who related, are we
Yes.
not? Because, I mean, we've been watching a few things recently. We've been listening to a few Big Finish audios. There's a new spin-off on TV, something about Homo Aqua and stuff like that. And, of course, we've had a little play around with some lovely new figures from character options. And who knows what might be coming out soon. Maybe Al can spill a few beans. I don't know. We live in hope, listeners. It never happens, but we live in hope anyway.
You
So
keep
we'll
asking us,
just
and we
feed him
keep trying.
biscuits. Keep feeding him biscuits and cups of tea and the various beverages of various descriptions. So shall we talk about, first off then, well, let's talk about war between the land and the sea. We've all seen at least one episode of that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I've seen the first couple of episodes. Al may have seen a few more, but we'll just talk about those first couple of episodes, right? So then we know. So thoughts on this then. Now, I'm going to start with you, Geoff, because if memory serves, given a few tweets and text messages we've exchanged last few days, you weren't so much looking forward to this particularly, were you? Was there not a little bit of persuasion from me to actually get you in front of the TV to watch this?
It actually wasn't. Well, you tried, and I DGAF at that point. You can Google that if you don't know.
That was Jeff's response.
I couldn't have cared less about the war between. If I'm honest, I don't know whether the general concept of it didn't appeal to me, or whether I felt so sort of deflated by the recent couple of series. But it just sort of didn't particularly interest me, and that's quite unusual, really, because it's a Who thing, and I generally am quite positive about stuff, and I would watch. Like I watch the Marvel shows and stuff, and some of them I love, and some of them I just think are good, and I enjoy them, But this, I just had no enthusiasm for it. And then I saw a few people talking online saying that they thought it was really good, and I thought that's nice. Still don't care.
Good for them. Yeah.
And then my dad sent me a message, and he said, "Did you watch the new show from the Doctor Who man?"
The Doctor Who man.
Yeah, and I thought, why the hell's my dad asking me that? Because he never asks me about Doctor Who particularly, and he certainly doesn't watch it. My dad doesn't really like sci-fi or fantasy or anything that isn't real, basically. And I said, no, I haven't watched it. I didn't really care. I said, have you watched it? And he said, yeah, we watched them on Sunday night or whenever it was. And it gives me flashbacks to many, many years ago when my dad passed me a book about a boy wizard, and he said, this is good, you should read it. And I thought, well, if my dad has thought this is quite good, there must be something in it, bearing in mind he generally does have no interest in that sort of thing. So I thought, well, if he watched the war between, maybe there's something in it. So I watched it, and I texted you, and Paul, and I said there was a few things, but overall, I thought it was pretty good. And I was quite pleasantly surprised, and it did show me, as I've often said to people, you should make your own mind up on things. And
absolutely.
Whilst I had made my mind up, which was I don't care, I watched it and I thought I was wrong, and I thought it was all right. So yeah,
that's a lovely outcome in the end, then, isn't it? So okay, so from being completely ambivalent and not really sort of DGAF about it. You watched it, you made up your own mind, and it was all right. Yeah,
I quite liked it. I thought that, it was. I mean, obviously the kind of premise of it was fairly well known, but I thought it was done well. It looked quite stylish, the whole thing. It was nicely shot and directed. It was some sort of slight horror elements, when they sort of get sucked into the sort of quicksand and stuff. I thought Russell Tovey was hopefully I mean, he was good, but he was a little bit like, "Oh, me, okay," the whole time, and I thought they were slightly overdoing the everyman sort of thing, and they kept going, Roger Trevellick, and I was thinking, oh, is Roger Trevellick going to be important later? Because they keep banging on about that he's ended up in his shoes, so to speak, and I thought the Sea Devils, the Homo Aqua, looked pretty good. I quite like them, but Salt, I think she's called, the female one. I didn't particularly like. Well, the costuming and all that was good, but when it's just like it's very clearly humanoid and there's just a few scales and finny ear type things, I was a bit like, it's. I know why they've done it to give emotion to the character and stuff, but the other design.
I think there might even be more to it, given what happened in the second episode. There might be a reason she looks the way she does.
I know what that might be because I've seen some stuff about it online. So yes, you're probably right. But I certainly liked the look of the new ones overall. Yeah.
Al, your thoughts?
I'll be honest, I haven't seen it, and for pretty much the reasons that Geoff stated.
Oh, you haven't seen it at all? I thought you had.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't hold.
The whole water.
It didn't hold. It didn't hold.
Didn't hold water.
It didn't hold much appeal for me. I'll be honest. What it did do is drive me into the arms of classic Doctor Who. I ended up watching that abridged version of the Sea Devils.
I was going to ask if either of you had seen that yet.
I did enjoy the recut of that. Was actually, it zipped along, but it was distinctly odd because it didn't have any opening titles, and that kind of narked me a little bit. That it was almost like, oh, we're ashamed that it's Doctor Who, and that felt a bit. It's dated. It's now it's a 1970s show, so it's dated. And the picture quality definitely varies. Things like the new music and, funnily enough, the new cut almost makes it zip along kind of too fast in some ways.
Because it wasn't written to fill an hour and a half slot, was it? It was written to fill 6 24-minute-ish episodes.
Yeah, and I think they've got it down to about 70 minutes, so they don't muck about. The one good bit I would say is that at the beginning they got rid of a whole load of that faff of them chasing around the prison that the master is in and Joe climbing out the window and all that crap. That was just filler, and because of that, the front end I would say is definitely better.
I think we talked a bit of that before, Paul, didn't we? With one of the recuts that they did, and
well, we watched the War Games, didn't we? With Freya. So you hadn't seen that original series at all.
No,
Freya hadn't seen it. So that edit was your and Freya's first experience of the War Games,
and it was good. And I sort of get why they do these, but it does make me think. And I know the Sea Devils reasonably well, and I was wondering, how much, okay, obviously, a large chunk is cut out, but to remove that much of it, you've got to be removing just massive chunks of stuff and basically focusing on the bare bones of it, essentially.
Of the plot.
Yeah.
Or what you think is the plot.
Yeah. And I'd also seen online that there was no title sequence to it, and I think they'd done that to try to make it tie in with the war between. And,
I've seen the first.
They added a line apparently. Yeah. There's a throwaway line that isn't in the original that they put into the Sea Devils, the original Sea Devils. Now, in fairness, I didn't spot it, but I read about it. I can't remember, but there's a throwaway line.
Is it a direct reference? Do they say like the war between the land and the sea or something?
Yeah, there is. Yeah. It is something like that where you've got probably played by John Coleshaw saying something exactly like that.
Yeah.
But it is just funny with those older serials. I went back and I rewatched The Inferno, which is very quickly becoming one of my favorite John Pertwees of all time. I just think that it used to be one that I didn't have a lot of time for, I'll be honest, but it's fabulous.
It's a good one. I watched the first maybe 10 minutes of the Sea Devils edit I probably will end up watching the whole thing. But what kind of struck me was, I think you're right, Geoff. It's like that opening title sequence does very much reflect the opening of the War Between the Land and the Sea, but it's the same kind of block font and everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Sea Devils.
What was it, you guys? I mean, funnily enough, a bunch of the guys at work had very similar things that they. But
then,
said,
I was going to say, then the weird thing is though, is that it goes from that like very 21st century kind of opening with all the mood and the music and everything else to very clearly 1970s bit of film, which has been cleaned up, but it's still really kind of ropey. So it's quite. I felt it quite disjointed from that point, and like kind of mourning the loss of the Doctor Who theme music, because it's like that sets the scene for Doctor Who. The whole time tunnel, voidy.
It was very odd going in cold like that, because I literally watched the first 5 minutes thinking, oh, they've done a little prequel, and then they're gonna do a big finish. So they're gonna do a little prequel, and then they're gonna cut in with the titles, and then we're gonna get the story.
They didn't, did they?
No. Quite cool. And it's like no titles, and I was like, well, that's just.
I'll never watch another one again.
Dad was doing a shite, man.
But you're right. It's Doctor Who and kind of dropping it. It's like
you're losing a core part of the show, aren't you?
It's a bit like doing Star Wars films and this stupidity they've got of like, we can't have the opening title with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away in the dead music. And it's like, it's fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
What difference does it make? Just if it's Doctor Who, put the friggin' titles on there. It pisses me off.
It's like cake with no icing, or cake with no filling.
Some superhero films that are sort of also embarrassed about being a superhero film. Batman suit with only the tiny little ears on it and a tiny bat symbol.
But to be fair, they do give him nipples.
No, but I was thinking of the Nolan films.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
See, they're my favorite Batman. But I had a discussion with somebody the other day who basically had a very different take on that.
Jeff's not a fan. I love them. I don't think Jeff's really good on that.
Other than the final one, I thought the final one's a difficult one because you kind of wanted it to be majestic and a bit of a
Bane, isn't it?
Bane.
Which I liked it. Do you know? Actually, that last one, I think the first time I saw it, I thought I didn't enjoy it. But then the second and definitely the third time, I only watched it again quite recently for the third time. I thought it was probably the best of the three in a way. Like the story structure, when it almost takes like one watch to get over the disappointment of it not being what you think it should be, following on from The Dark Knight. And then there's a few other things that you think, okay, if they'd done that would have been better. So once you watch it the third time, you forget about all that stuff and actually kind of just like enjoy it for what it is. And I think the story is.
It's not that I don't like it. It's a bit that thing. It's a bit Return of the Jedi. It revisits some of the old tropes like Ra's al Ghul, and it tries to kind of make it sort of a bit of a
but then that's where the Nolan films kind of started, though, didn't they? So they kind of come full circle in that respect, I thought.
Yeah, but I mean, I like it. It's just Batman's not in it.
So we've gone right off topic now. It's all Jeff's fault.
You mentioned Batman.
So you guys' opinion of War Between was then. That it was.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I want to watch the second part. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. But
I kind of liked it.
Pete McTee.
Well, so Russell T Davies wrote the first episode and apparently came up with the whole concept, but then Pete McTee is kind of co-producer and co-writer. So he wrote the second episode. And it's quite nice how the two sort of blend. I thought that the first one is so instantly recognisably Russell T Davies. It's like there's a tonal watermark going through the entire thing. And it felt, in some respects to me, as if you could have lifted it straight out of the early sort of mid-2000s. It would have been, it felt so much like Torchwood. That weird kind of, is it Doctor Who? Is it not Doctor Who? It's trying to be not Doctor Who, but it's clearly got one foot firmly planted in the Doctor Who universe. But it's all kind of serious and, militaristic. And we've got Lorne Balfe's music giving it some kind of, a bit of sensitivity and cinematic.
A lot of parallels with Children of Earth.
Well, I think maybe it hasn't. I don't think it's quite there yet. I think it's more.
I've got to say something on Lorne Balfe for a minute.
Wait, you'll have your chance. Let me speak for a moment, right? It was more first series of Torchwood than Children of Earth so far. There is a similarity because obviously there's kind of alien quotation fingers, not alien, but alien kind of power at play with a history. with the politicians. So, but then we know what that history is in this, because if you've seen the Silurians and the Sea Devils and what is it, all of those sort of stories which have featured them, then you know what the history is. And it's the same story, right? It's, do we live in peace or do we fight a war to the death? Do we annihilate one species or another, or do we find a way to co-inhabit? What I did enjoy about this is where the previous stories all failed, which was to actually have that negotiation play out in a way that actually made some kind of sense. Because we had that, what was the 11th Doctor story, wasn't there? Where
Zygon inversion.
No. The one which had the Silurians, right?
Hungry Earth.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Zygon one, where the Zygons are living on Earth.
Yeah.
But in the second part of that story, the Doctor just says to one representative of humanity, who's like, I can't remember what she is, but she's a cave explorer or something, and one Silurian says, right, there you go, between you two, go and fight it out, negotiate for the future of the planet, kind of thing. And they don't, it's never going to happen. And it's the same in the third Doctor series as well. That moment just doesn't happen. It's almost like it's either too complex or whatever. The story doesn't go in that direction. But what I did like about this is that actually this is absolutely, so far, the crux of the story. What happens if those negotiations actually took place? Because humanity has a vested interest in its resource exploitation. The oil wealth, the billionaires, the technocrats, everybody who is invested in that infrastructure and does not want it changed because it benefits them greatly. On the other hand, you've got the Homo aqua, who basically, at least from their side of the story, the pitch they're giving is, you've dumped your shit on us. Literally that. For centuries, you've dumped all your crap, and it's now getting to the point where something has to be done about it. And if you guys don't do anything about it, humanity, we're going to do something about it for you. And I won't spoil it, but the climax of episode 2, where they do that, they do something about it to visually show humanity directly the impact that they've had in their own ecosystem. They basically turn the tables and dump it all on Earth, and it is brilliant. This changes the story from something that's very much Russell T Davies into something which is actually, now this is going a little bit deeper, it's hitting a little bit harder, and it's actually got my interest going. So I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen with the remainder. I think also there are a lot of questions over Barclay. You're right, Geoff. He's very much an everyman so far, but there's no doubt he's going to change through this process.
Oh yeah.
Whether he's going to get closer to Salt, the negotiator for the Homo Aqua, or whatever, I don't know. They're obviously. They're playing him in some way, right? They identified him as the person they want to speak to. They give him somebody to talk to who he responds emotionally to and who seems to show empathy. But there's a switch which they do in episode 2, which is kind of terrifying in a way, and yet utterly brilliant. So I must admit, I was always going to watch it, but whether or not I was going to enjoy it, the first episode, I'm thinking, yeah, this is just standard Russell T Davies, standard Torchwood kind of thing. Even to the point where there's a line in there where Barclay says, "I've met the Doctor," and for that moment, it was glorious. It was like God was watching me. It's like, oh, come on, Russell! Every time we have the Doctor, we have this like massive idolization of the Doctor. He's my God. I bow before him. He's some, luminous being of universal cosmic power.
He says,
please shut up. It's the Doctor. They're as flawed as the rest of us. We know that. So,
I think about him every second of every
took
day.
It in a very, very different direction. I was really pleased. Sorry, Geoff, go on.
I think about him every second of every day.
He does. Honestly, I think Russell T Davies, bless him, God love him, and I do love him. But please stop with this idolisation of the Doctor. It just, I don't know. I don't like it. We've been there. We've done that. We've got the T-shirts. We've got the mugs. Move on. Doctor Who has to move on. Get away from that now. Give us something else about the Doctor that we've never seen before, instead of this kind of worship, idolatry of the worst kind. There you go. That's my tuppence worth anyway. But episode 2 is great.
Over.
I wouldn't go that far. It's never done. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
I'm looking
I wouldn't
forward to
say
seeing where it
Children of
goes.
Earth quite yet, but I hope it does, because I love Children of Earth. I thought that was really good. Did you watch that? You guys watch?
Yeah, a long time ago. Yeah. So there's been quite a lot of Big Finish out lately, hasn't there? And Al, you mentioned that you just took a listen to the Ninth Doctor and Rose adventure, which is called Dare You, isn't it?
Dare You.
And that was written.
I was just about waiting to see what you thought of War Between, Geoff, but you skirted over that and moved us on.
Oh,
he's moved us on skillfully.
Did you like it?
I did like it. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised at having sort of had zero interest in it. The fact that
Oh yes, well you did say that your dad had kind of
I kind of I probably need to watch number 2 to sort of get a bit more, obviously. But I'm intrigued, and whilst I had a few little kind of niggle things, I think you're right, Paul. There's obviously more to play with Barclay in it, and he will, I think, probably have quite a good evolution in it.
I hope so.
As he goes on. But the whole thing, it sort of, in some ways, it all feels a bit pointless now, because I think my sort of impression was they wanted the war between to become a subtitle, spin-off that could, then the second series could be the war between, the machines and the humans, and be Cybermen or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's quite clearly done as the war between.
Like a header, and then the subtitle, The Land and the Sea.
Yeah.
The next one is, I never knew that.
That's what
was that actually the intention, or was that just your fan theory?
I don't know. It's just something that I thought for some reason, because there'd been sort of talk about, it's going to be Sea Devils, and then they'll do this and they'll do that, So, maybe, I don't know. But obviously, the show is where it is now. And I think sort of as good as this may well end up being, that's probably the last
it's all we're going to get for a little while, probably.
I imagine, So that's a bit of a shame. And I was going to say Lorne Balfe. So he did the music for.
You were going to make a point about
Mission Impossible.
He did the Mission Impossible music, which was fantastic on Dead Reckoning, but then he didn't return for Final Reckoning because he was doing
doing Doctor Who.
Yeah, and I'm going to say
that made you happy, didn't it?
He picked the wrong one.
Wait! Hold on, mate. You are the host of a very successful Doctor Who podcast, and you would rather that Lorne Balfe, who did the music for this Doctor Who spin-off, would actually turn his attentions to Mission Impossible instead?
Yes. Yeah.
Shocking. Are you not happy that we managed to attract this kind of caliber of talent to the show that we love so much?
No, it is good. Yeah. The fact that he's on it is very good. But I would have liked him to have closed out Mission. The Final Reckoning music was good, but he did something banging on the last one.
Generic cinematic spy movie kind of nonsense.
There's loads of drumming stuff going on in it, and there's
I'm just winding me up, mate.
Did you say you liked it, Al, the recent one?
I loved it.
Yeah, really good.
It was really good. I thought it was a big shame. It kind of it felt that whole series kind of ended lesser than it could have been. Like the first one, for whatever reason, took a bit longer, and then the second one took longer because the submarine got broken or something, and like the submarine's in like 5 minutes, so I don't quite know what happened there, but it was good. It seemed, strangely enough, it kind of, because it just always got bigger and bigger and bigger, it felt with that one that it kind of went back a little bit more to basics.
Yeah, it had a very...
Seen this one yet?
You're right, so Dead Reckoning is much more of a kind of action film, and Final Reckoning, I think, is more of a thriller, and it really creates a kind of end of the world, we're fucked vibe to it, and it all comes down to like a blink of an eye at the end, which is so Mission Impossible, and it really did feel a bit like they've lost here, and real sense of kind of doom to it. I was quite impressed with it.
Losing the major character at the beginning and stuff, I think, is always. I didn't say who. I just said, it's like Rebecca Ferguson. But it did, and that biplane fight I thought was excellent.
Oh yeah, and the submarine sequence is, astonishing, and Dead Reckoning. had probably more kind of big set pieces in it. But this one has got, they're bigger, but fewer in them. And I think you were right as well, Al. It did take a while for Final Reckoning to come out, and that they both the films took a really long time with COVID and shutdowns and all sorts of stuff. But I think it's a good fitting finale to it. I hope they don't try and do more now.
There's been a bunch of films that seem to have suffered from that sort of slightly overlong delay, doing a bit of damage to them.
Take longer to come to anything nowadays, don't they?
Yeah, the last few years have been very difficult with, COVID shutdowns, strikes, and all that sort of thing. And I think it's still being felt now. That things have been delayed, and
there's no doubt about it. And I think the studio system, I think, the fact it's the same thing. The fact that we're now in a situation yet again where you've got kind of three big monopolized companies buying up all the studios, and it's Amazon Prime, it's Netflix, and it's like where the hell are all the independents? It's all
that's the lifeblood of
it is
really
crap.
That's where
and
stuff comes from.
These
stuff that dares to be different.
Netflix buying Warner Brothers is not a good move, because they're saying, we'll honour theatrical release windows between cinema and streaming, but everyone knows it's a lie, because Netflix want you at home subscribing, and they don't. The guy who runs it has literally said cinema as a medium is dead. It's watching films at home. He is not interested.
To change it. I mean, we've had this discussion before, but I would hate to see cinema drop off, because I love going to the movies, but I do think that cinema, it needs a bit of a shake-up. It needs a kick up the arse. I think it needs cinemas to buck up their game. I think it needs to provide an experience which is actually worth getting off your arse and driving down into town for. And it needs to be less expensive. It needs to be cheaper, because it's just the price is just going up and up and up.
It does, and I wonder if it needs to be less boutique. I mean, it seemed more boutique and more bespoke, in the sense that I go to the Everyman now if I go to watch a film, and I almost always go late at night, because my last two experiences of going to the big cinemas have been fucking atrocious because of the noise and people just sitting on their phones.
Exactly. Just
I almost kind of feel like if you divided all these cinemas into little boxes where families and small groups could go and watch films, and it might be a better experience.
I think that's certainly something, in it. I mean, some cinemas do, go with your kids, go with your babies and stuff, But I think, you made a couple of interesting points there, Paul. I think there are more than enough premium format things now to make it an experience. IMAX, high frame rate, 4DX, ScreenX. Hang on, and it is expensive to go, but that's also been driven up by the fact that there's been markedly less releases in the last few years because of COVID and strikes and stuff like that. Cinemas are gagging for content. Why do you think The Shining is back out? Endgame is coming back out. Shrek is coming back out. Is because they need material for the screens. So I think that the prices have gone up a little bit, because they are simply not making enough money because of the lack of stuff to go in there. People have also become trained and accustomed by the studios to go, I'm not going to bother going to the cinema. I'll be able to watch it at home for free or to rent in 2 weeks. I mean,
it's weird. The home experience is nothing like a good cinema experience.
It's a different experience. No, I don't disagree. What I think is that the home experience is a lot better than it was like 10 or 20 years ago, because the quality of the kit you can get, whether it's a projector or even just a big LED screen, is a lot better. The picture quality and the size that they can take up in your room for the price of it is really good. The sound equipment you can get as well. But anything like mine is pretty awesome. But I think the big issue, and I get where you're going with content. You're right as well, but it's like it's like that. People will always go for the most convenient option and also the cheapest option. If those two things combined, then you've got no way of competing at that level, right? Wait, right? You can't do it, right? This is why Amazon took off in the internet boom, late 90s, 2000s, because it provided a route of convenience that was cheaper and faster than any other route to get in books. It was literally just a bookseller, but you can just buy them with a click on your computer. That'll be, and that's the way masses tend to go. That's the way markets tend to be driven. As much as you might like to compete the high end with premium where you can make your money and all the rest of it, that's great. But the reality is market dynamics will always throw the masses, the volume down, the route of greater convenience and greatest customer value. In other words, cheapest money, usually.
Well,
right?
They will.
Unless you can give them something worthwhile to pay more for. So simply go into a cinema where you're surrounded by people kicking off and screaming or messing around with their mobile phones, where the floor is crunchy with popcorn, and let's say it is a premium experience. You go to IMAX, and I've been to some really crap IMAXs where I've been charged nearly 20 quid, but I can get a DVD for less than that usually, right? I can buy the 4K Blu-ray, stick it on my big blooming 65-inch TV with my surround theatre sound, sit in my lazy boy armchair and go to the toilet whenever I want just to pause it. That's the convenience part of it, and also the cheapest. And all I've got to do is wait a few more months or even a few more weeks. And I agree with you, Geoff, that compression of time between the cinema release and the streaming release is going to be a killer for cinemas. But this is why cinemas need to do something different. They can't rely on that old model. The old model won't work.
It's not about the cinema.
Wait, the old model will drive them out of business. It is about the cinema.
No,
yes, they're not
the
getting
studios,
well, no, I agree. Look, if they're not getting the content, there's a reason they're not given the content, because the people who make the content don't see that there's any worth in the cinemas. They know the value is in the streaming markets and the home market.
Because
mate, if they
thought
the cinemas were worthwhile, they would make the content for the cinemas and give it the time it needs. But they don't. Why don't they? Because they know the money doesn't come from that.
No,
it comes from the domestic market.
I think that's
totally wrong.
Jeff, it's not going to shut your eyes to it, mate. This is what happens. This is
you're
market
wrong.
dynamics.
That's
I'm not wrong.
It at
I'm
all.
absolutely right.
I think the problem with the streaming services is that they do have to keep putting fresh content, and that is driving them to put stuff on very early. I mean, there's a bunch of films that are now on, just recently dropped on, but it's kind of a monster that constantly needs fed.
And they've created this themselves
from Fantastic Four. That machine they're churning out to drive people back in. The subscription service. You've got to keep giving them new content.
It's the same with that, isn't it? You've got a constant. The trouble is as well is that a lot of that. The quality of that is probably going to be driven down. We're going to find it's very rare. We're going to see new stuff coming through. You know that more people
now watch YouTube than watch on the
which is crazy.
Yeah,
because
but it's just, and it's a rabbit hole, and I think we all know it's a rabbit hole. And
why is the majority of that content is just bland vlogs? It's just people going about their daily lives, and they're called influencers. But that's where the masses are going. It's crazy, but that's the reality of it.
Yeah,
cinemas have to change if they want to stay in business. The whole universe of that. You're right. It's not just the cinemas. It's the whole hub of it. The whole wheel of that industry needs to change if it's going to survive the next 10 years. If it doesn't change, it will completely die off, and our kids won't have cinemas to go to.
It's not.
I think that it might change with technology. You might find that.
I hope so. Yeah.
The VR technology.
I don't know. Is technology enough? Really? Is VR enough?
I don't know. I agree with you. I do worry that there's a social aspect to this, that people are becoming more and more insular, and they're comfortable. You're right. They are more comfortable sitting at home on their arses, stuffing their faces with the pizza and drinking the prosecco. 100%. Seriously, but in the old days, cinema going was a social experience.
It was,
and you didn't have people dicking around on their phones, and you didn't have people that couldn't behave, and you didn't have kids the arse around behind your head and ruin the experience for you. There's kind of bunch of things going, social responsibility hand in hand with social sort of. I mean, I remember going to see Skyfall back in central London in 2013, I think it was, when that film came out, and it literally was one of the best cinema experiences I've had. It was people were quiet, they paid attention, you couldn't hear a pin drop. Everybody literally clapped at the end of that film, and that's a decade ago. My last two experiences at going to a cinema have been fucking miserable. Which is why I end up paying to go to Everyman. I'd rather go and sit in a half-empty cinema where I know people are going to shut up and I can watch the film in peace.
I think it depends as well. If you go opening night to something, it's an audience of fans, and I think they're all there because they want to see it. You go at the next night, and it's a more general audience, perhaps. And therefore, because I have not had a bad experience going to the cinema in ages. I mean, I don't go as much as I used to because of family and things, but I think that cinema is still down 25-30% on 5 years ago
easily,
and I think that's a COVID thing. It's nothing to do with initially the quality of what's being shown. I think that people became we couldn't go out of home, so streaming all took off at that point. And now
Disney Plus came on literally the day of the lockdown over in the UK, didn't it?
And I think the studios are doing this to themselves by putting a film out in the cinema.
They've created a monster.
Yeah, they have. And you're right, Al, the streaming monster. But they put a film in the cinema. 2 weeks later, you can rent it. People just think, I literally don't need to bother going to the cinema anymore.
Again, it's convenience and cheapness.
But they've been accustomed to it because you now don't have to. You're not being told you have to see this in the cinema. You can watch it at home in 2 weeks, and Netflix buying Warner Brothers. So the cinema is a exhibition place. Okay, so what happens is the studios say, you want it's nothing to do with the cinemas. The studios say, if you want to show Mission Impossible, we want it 2 weeks on your biggest screen, nothing else. And if you won't accept those terms, you can't have it.
But the cinema still has to sell the seats, right? It's still got to sell the tickets.
They do, but then they're being restricted on what they can show, how long they can show it for, and so the prices have gone up because the ticket cut is increasing back to the studio and stuff like that. So the cinemas for the last few years have had very little to show. If you look at the number of films released per year, it's like half of what it has been in the past. So, that's why all these re-releases are happening, because they're just desperate for stuff to show. They don't have it. That's why they're relying on a handful of films every year.
But the cost to produce is going up. So, you can't.
Well, that doesn't help.
Your initial take would always be, how the hell are they making their money back?
I know, they can't be.
If they're literally only having a week in the cinema.
Exactly, you're right. You're saying, oh yeah, this film cost X amount of money. We need it to make this amount of money back, but then they just stick it straight out at home. So it isn't going to make the money immediately.
Well, no, it's a sort of mid-term plan. Is it the short-term plan? Is the cinema tickets, right? And a film is generally judged on its success by the sales of those tickets in its opening weekend, usually, right? And then how it persists over the next couple of weeks.
But so it also is on streaming. That's the weird
exactly
thing.
Now, but initially it's like, well, the film's a flop because it cost $4 billion to make, and it's only raked in $2 billion worth of ticket sales. Therefore, it's an absolute flipping disaster. We'll stick it out on streaming, which is neither here nor there in a way, really. Because the long game. Yeah, the long game is that they'll build their subscriber base and have a cut of that. And if like Netflix and Disney, they're all good examples because they own the content, they own the studio, they have share in the cinemas, and they also own the subscribing platform as well. So they've got it sewn up, really. You know, it's the only risky part for them is putting it out in the cinemas, but there's no real risk because, as you said, they've only got it for cinemas, only have it for a couple of weeks. But the problem with cinemas is they won't, you know, by that example, what they should be able to do then is pack those auditoriums out every showing, every night within those 2 weeks. But
people know they don't need to.
They can't. They'll pack them out for 3 or 4 days, and there'll be a few peaks and troughs over those 2 weeks. But there's no chance that each one of those viewings will be end to end. You know, they've
annihilated a bunch of stuff because their secondary market was always cinema, then it was digital release,
VHS, and then DVD home viewing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Blu-ray, whatever. Yeah. That's all gone.
Yep.
And that's changing as well. Yeah.
And then it would drop on streaming, and now you've literally got
they have
streaming. There's no
and streaming itself. Well, I was going to say it's becoming more like cable TV, but
Doctor Who on Blu-ray and stuff like that. But that's almost a nostalgia purchase versus, you know, actually buying. I mean, I'm one of the very few people I know that still buys content. I still buy films that I really like.
Yes, same. Because you want to own them, right?
Keep it on my Apple TV.
But you know, you can't beat buying the physical copy because you know,
I agree.
You don't really own it when you own a digital.
That is, I agree, but that is a concept for our age group because there is nobody, I guarantee you, under about the age of 30 who would in any way agree with that. You only have to look at Spotify and music and what's happening. Nobody buys albums anymore. No. They all just either listen
and
to
they've
it
done
on
that
Spotify.
themselves as well.
Wait. There are always people who buck the trend on this, and this is where those things go underground and what have you. My youngest daughter.
I'm not saying nobody.
No, I know, but it's. I think we're always in danger though of making those sort of generalizations because you know when. Go back to earlier in the conversation, we were talking about independent filmmakers. That's where the real innovation comes from. You know, that's where things like Blair Witch Project, Star Wars, you know, Jaws, all of those, Francis Ford Coppola, all of those movie makers started off as independents, and they did something which was different, which gave people a reason to go into the cinemas to watch their movies. And okay, back in 60s, 70s, and 80s, the technology at home wasn't anything near, so it couldn't compete. But of course, the trouble is now, of course, it can compete, and in lots of ways can actually, you know, provide. Well, it's a different experience. Some would say it's better, but it's different. It's an easy, convenient experience that generally costs less. So, but if we lose those independent filmmakers, then we're going to see those innovations coming fewer and further between. We're already there now, where we're just getting sequel after sequel, revival after revival. It's safe, but
that's the Disney model, isn't it? Yeah. Let's make a cartoon. Let's
do everything.
They think
which is bad because Disney in the old days used to say we're not making sequels. We've made one and that's it. You know, The Lion King finished. We're not making any more. Little Mermaid, that's all we need. And yet, you know, 15 years later.
They think it's safe making these and that people will go, but they're not.
They're not. No. But who knows? The future of the cinema and home viewing industry. It's going to be an interesting one to watch.
I agree with you. I think there has to be something to incentivize people.
Well, they always have
and
to
be.
And
I wonder if it isn't film. There's a big question mark in my mind whether cinema will remain the domain of film or whether cinema will become something else, which neatly brings us back around to the Doctor Who phenomenon, which is, I have for years said, with something like Doctor Who, where you've got a 60-year back catalogue and you've got basically actors who are still able to do these things. Why are they so linear on concentrating on it being one Doctor for one era? There are people I know, my daughter would be up there with them. There's people that would go to see a David Tennant Doctor Who movie. There would be people that would go to see a Matt Smith movie. There'd be people that will pay on BBC iPlayer to watch Paul McGann in a miniseries. There are people.
That one. Yeah.
I can never quite understand the linear focus on Doctor Who. I know we got the Whoniverse and I know we got spin-offs, but if you were going to do spin-offs, I would be doing a lot more Doctor Who content and get a bunch of different people to make
Absolutely,
different
yeah.
types of Doctor
Well, again,
Who
you spread your
and
wings, don't
see
you?
what sticks, and see what sticks, and when which age groups respond, and get a bunch of different producers and do. And this is my thing. I'm not. Wait, it's just in case before anyone at the BBC goes.
How do us spill
What's
secrets?
I'm purely thinking out loud that this is in my head for years. I've kind of thought
But you know what fandom's like as well, because the fandom is so, there are elements of the fandom where they literally set up camp under one Doctor, one showrunner, 1 year, whatever it is, and say, well, this is the definitive Doctor Who. Anything else is absolute pap. So, you could easily do, like you said, a David Tennant movie, Paul McGann, a Peter Capaldi, and it would immediately appeal to those groups and pull in from, the rest of the fandom who just want more of the Doctor, don't really care who it is, but recognise his strengths in different things to see in different ones. So
yeah, and that it doesn't have to be just Doctor Who. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff where I think people would potentially, I'm in fact I'm sure they're doing it, the Stranger Things thing, but I'm sure people would go to see series finales. In fact, they do.
Well, they have, haven't they?
Yeah.
But I think maybe it won't be domain of the tentpole movie. Maybe it will become the domain of the series and the
almost like a return to what it used to be in the sort of 30s and 40s, though, wasn't it? It should be great.
Yeah, serials.
Obviously, none of us are that old, but we've heard stories. Saturday morning, pay a penny, go down, watch The Lone Ranger, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon. Just half an hour, all of those sort of things. If they could bring that back somehow, I mean, that would be great. And I think they do. I mean, like I said, they do kids clubs.
So good now. It wouldn't make any difference whether you were playing it on a cinema screen or a home screen.
Yeah. But get them in. I think you've got to get the kids in. I think that's the thing. I think people of our generation, we're either going to go or we're not going to go. Nothing's really going to sway us. It's if we're always going to go, we're always going to go, and if we're not, we're not. But the kids are the future. This is where the people who are buying stuff start. So if you can't get those people in through your doors on their own, you're going to struggle. It's the same. It's not just cinemas. It's a lot of industries now are really struggling to find a way to survive offline, in actual bricks and mortar. Look at how many retailers have closed shops in the last sort of 5 years, let alone the last 10 or 15 years. The whole retail model has massively changed. And like many things, even like the film industry, it's been accelerated into being more insular, more online by COVID. It was already going that way, but the whole lockdown thing just accelerated what was already happening, and maybe it did with the film industry as well. But the businesses that are surviving that disruption are those that are able to somehow innovate and change and say, okay, we can't compete with this sort of thing. We don't have the money, we don't have the resources. So what do we have? And what can we use to our advantage to try and get people in and give them a different experience, something that is worth getting off your backsides for and going into. And this is where I think, cinemas can turn it around and say, well, actually, we can pull people in. We can make you your money, make you the money you need on your film. They've got to have some sort of leverage, some sort of negotiating power. The only thing they got really to negotiate with is bums on seats. If they're not getting bums on seats, how do they get bums on seats? The old model isn't working. What new stuff do they need to do? And then maybe just, they can have some more leverage with the content providers.
Yeah, no, I agree. Incentivizing people to, get off their arses.
Anyway.
I mean, going to the cinema is a great experience normally, or it should be. It's like going to the theatre. Going to the theatre is a fabulous experience for the most part.
There's a lot of music as well, actually. Like the Odeon tend to show a lot of concerts and various gigs and things. I mean, that's quite good fun as well. My girls have been to see some of those.
Going to an actual concert is better.
Yeah, but if you can't get to the concert, if you can't pay like, I don't know, 300 quid or whatever it is to go and see someone at the O2 or Wembley or whatever, or you live on the other side of the planet from where their gig is, you can go see it in the cinema. For what?
No,
15,
it's good. I've done that in the past, but
there's a World Cup coming up.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus, tickets for the final and that. I was looking £3,000, £3,000 for a supporters level ticket.
That's
your basic ticket for the final, 3,000 quid. For most England games, it's about 300 quid. That's ridiculous.
Imagine if you put that on in the. I mean, you'd have a bunch of pissed up arseholes in fairness, but you'd still have you'd still have bums on seats. You know, so,
people still pay it.
I don't know. It's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. So there's no easy answers.
We'll come to the figures shortly, but tell us briefly about Dare You. But I think we can kind of
the ninth Doctor.
I think it's, you know, since they've started doing the Big Finish, I think, as everyone knows, they've been doing the audios with Billy Piper and Christopher Eccleston, and they have just incrementally, I think it's 3.
This is the third one. The first one was good, wasn't it? The second one was excellent. Like
the Power State, I love that one so much. Mm.
And then this most recent one is Dare You, and I kid you not, it's pure vintage 2005 Doctor Who. The chemistry between those 3 people in the studio, and I say 3 because it's Camille and Billy and Chris. They're just, but it is hilarious. The back chat between those 2. I mean, I was literally laughing out loud, which I never do, just listening to the dialogue.
Yeah.
And they just continue to get better and better and better. I cannot tell you how good those Doctor Who's are. And Dare You is, I can't really tell you much about Dare You other than I dare you to watch it.
Listen to it. It's the only one we haven't. We've done the first 2, but not this one just yet.
It doesn't. It's just plots and twists, and it absolutely flew along. I mean, I'm a big Finnish fan anyway. I don't think it's under any illusions that I'm not. And some float my boat and some don't. But this one, it's like it's hitting a little sweet spot that was missing because of that first year, that first season being singular and sort of so contracted. It's filling the void that created so well. It's just blindingly good. I can't tell you. I was laughing out loud. I can only recommend go and listen to that because
I said similar with the recent 13th Doctor one that Lisa McMullen wrote. I was driving along listening to it, and I kept laughing. And you know, when you're sitting at traffic lights and you're like in the car, and people see you and they probably think, "What the hell's wrong with that guy?"
Crazy.
Yeah, but it was really funny, and also quite a spooky one as well, which I quite liked. So yeah, she's been doing a great job on stuff recently. Yeah,
we like Lisa's stuff.
So.
I think it's the characterization, you know, as I say, it's the story done with anyone else. I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's weirdly. Having just said what I've said, I wouldn't say it's a particularly startling story, but it's the characterization. The characterization is just phenomenal.
Yeah, she really has got it all well. Yeah. So let's talk for a little bit about these fellas. I can't see myself on screen now, so hopefully. People can see.
Who are they? Where did they come from?
Look at these chaps.
I'm going to arrest you as like you've been breaking the law and stuff. So come along, let's go quietly this way. Are we?
I wouldn't be scared if that's what they sounded like. I'll be honest.
Why not?
Puppy dog.
If you look like that, you'd be scared, wouldn't you? Eh? He'd come up there in his straight and say, "Are we, lad? Pack it in. You shouldn't be doing that. That's against the law." Like.
I've said in a couple of other places that it's weird because it's the transposition, isn't it? The rather the literal interpretation of the bug-eyed monster.
Yeah,
they really are.
And the Meep is the inversion of the docile, cute little creature that turns out to be a freaking psychopath.
Exactly.
So the bug-eyed monsters are
actually the good guys.
Basically, the good guys.
So they're just. Fantastic, really. How you've
Wrarth
done
Warriors for those of you who can't see us fiddling around with our figures.
I particularly like the what do you call it? Like the light tunnel thing or
It's
pipe.
light pipe. It does. I mean, in fairness, and I've said this, it doesn't work particularly well. The way light pipe normally works is you have a large area on the top and it concentrates it down to a small area at the front. So what happens is the light comes in, bounce, 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 and then it looks bright. It lights up basically.
Yeah.
These guys are basically the antithesis of that. They have a small light gathering area, but the eyes are really big. But weirdly, with Paul's holding it up there, and the eyes are glowing, so it's clearly working in some way or another.
The angle, right?
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of Blade Runner-esque-ness going on there.
If you had lighting in your shelf unit, some LEDs or something, it would shine down on it.
What, like you've got behind you there, Geoff?
Well, a little. Those are not in the shelf unit; they're on the back of it. But
that's the fish tank, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's go get some lunch. Like, I saw a donut shop over the road. Like,
so were these difficult to sculpt out? Because they're quite big, aren't they? They're bigger than the usual figures that you do. And
huge.
They are. So
massive.
The lovely Ed did sculpts for these a long time ago, way back. In fact, before Toy Fair in 2024. So they were. I suppose the expression is hiding in plain sight, but we excuse me, we didn't get around to, we didn't get around to doing them until relatively recently. But funnily enough, I always with figures it's the same. If the physical kind of modeling and transition from Ed sculpt to the jointed character is relatively easy, then the deco is always a pain in the arse. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. The all went very smoothly on the sculpt to tooling model stage. So that the tooling model that came back to me from which I'd worked on the articulation with the guys in the Far East. It all came back. The tooling model looked fantastic. I managed not to break anything on that, which was the first. And then I got the plastics, and the plastics landed on my desk, and I was like, "Oh my God, these look absolutely amazing!" But then the deco we always do a deco one, which is a decorated figure, and we send it off. And it kept coming back, and it just wasn't quite right. So I ended up kind of hand embellishing a version and sending it off, which is why there's some development pictures of two of the Wrarth, the two different Wrarth, one with a big A on the front and the one with a big B. But what happened was I was basically like, oh God, you can't get this right, and I ended up using those two figures to my extra paint ops on to send it off. So I said, look, this is what I want them to look like, but obviously not with a sodding big Sharpie A and B on the front.
They're not quite screen accurate,
they're really good though. I mean, I love this. I mean, again, it's like, stuff like the detail on the back on the carapace there. It's and the sort of legs, all this stuff going on.
They did a brilliant job.
It's fantastic.
What's interesting, and I haven't seen anybody do it, and I feel like telling everyone off. But the legs actually, the way the legs work is because of the way they stand, they should actually be bent kind of like a dog. They do that, knees forward, calves back, and then the bit at the bottom is basically one of those metal blades things. So the whole of that bottom leg is basically one of those running blades with a bit of foam.
Yes, I know what you mean.
And the minute you articulate the leg properly, everything else kind of falls into place, and it starts to look. Because I think people are a bit afraid to sort of bend that joint in the upper leg so that it gets an actual proper bend on it. But play around with the legs, and I think you'll find that it makes them slightly shorter, but that's more. Yeah, that's it. So when you see the actors in the suits, they're like that. They have that kind of knees forward, calf back, and then the blade kind of comes out at quite a sharp angle at the bottom.
Right.
They're good. I mean, they must have been absolutely horrific to try and
to
walk around.
Yeah.
Apparently, most of that scene in the car park, they're sitting on bar stools with because they could only stand up for a relatively short.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely creature. I mean, it really is.
And a great response from people as well online. I saw a lot of nice comments, and I think maybe some people kind of suspected they might be coming, but I think people were kind of pleasantly surprised that they suddenly appeared one day. And
it was quite weird. Somebody put online a picture that had weirdly been doing the rounds for months beforehand, which was an AI'd box that somebody had done, and you could tell because when you looked at the thing, it had really horrible joints on the arms. But literally, I think a day before they came out, they found this same old thing that had been circulating on Twitter for months and put it out. And of course, it just is usually enough to kind of twing people to kind of go, "Oh, that's new, that's interesting." It's like, oh, actually, no, it's been around for 6 months, but because it's just become topical again. So there was a little moment of, oh God, not again. But I was kind of like, it was literally a day before release. It's like some days, it's not going to make any difference now anyway.
Yeah.
A little bit of resistance, I think, because they look very similar. But I think I would agree. I think in general positive, and I think it's like all the figures. Once people start to get them in hand and show people on forums and social media what they're like, I think that always kind of helps scoot things along a little bit. And then you get the FOMO, the fear of missing out hits, and then suddenly
they become desirable.
Yeah. Because that's with all these things, they're here for a moment in time and then they're gone. I've sort of said on many occasions, all these vortex things, people think I'm making it up, but I'm really not. It's like they're here and they're never coming back. You don't
That's it.
But
you don't get them, you'll be paying for it on eBay. And
well, like with any of these kind of things, I think if you and ah, they'll be gone, and you got to take that leap if you can. When they go up. I mean, so just behind me there, I've got they've only made one Avatar Fire and Ash Funko. 3,500 globally, I think it was as well. And I had a friend try and get it online for me because it went live at 8 p.m. I think it was like last Monday. Instantly sold out, know. And then they kept trying, and then about an hour and a half later, I was like, I'll have a look, see if there's any luck. Refresh. Available. Oh my God! Stick it in the basket. Tried to go through the checkout. Got kicked out because I hadn't logged in. Oh, God damn it. So I thought,
that's horrible.
Yeah. So I was thinking, this is silly. It's only a Funko Pop, but I really want to get it. And then refresh. It's available again. Put it in. So I think what was happening is other people were sort of trying to put it in and was getting kicked out, or they put it in the basket and then it was getting released again. Yeah. And I've seen a number of people online saying they didn't have any luck getting hold of it. But, I thought, it says it's going on at 8 p.m. You've got to give it a go. And even then it was, sold out. But yeah, very small, number on it, really getting run off there. So yeah, now it's up on eBay for a couple of £100.
These things are going. It doesn't seem to be just us, but also, I think the quality is pretty good. I was saying to somebody else this week, I was kind of looking at and I don't normally slag Hasbro off. I used to work for them, but I think their HasLab stuff shipped recently. And I'm a big Ghostbusters fan, but their Ghostbusters Ectomobile and the figures that came with it. Saw the figures, and I was like, Jesus Christ! People give us a hard time over our figures. These are absolutely atrocious. It was. I was like, if I paid, nearly 400 quid for a big plastic car and a bunch of figures, and I did a contrast and compare with the Doctor Who figures, I think I'd be mortified. And I don't normally blow our trumpet, but I was like, geez, the quality of it is for the most part, I thought it stands up.
Yeah.
Is the point
Yeah, they're really good.
It stands up. It stands up. And I think these guys
are my
are the same.
favourite.
Yeah, I've got so many. There's been so many good
these guys.
comments about those guys.
The Cybermen, the Master we looked at quite recently, and of course my other favourite, the Special Weapons Dalek. I mean, I just love that guy. The Abomination, with all the oil stains down. It's just fantastic.
He's good with the trundly, wobbly kind of.
Yeah, there's sort of limited kind of swiveling action, but he's got a big effing gun there, so you're not going to mess with it, are you?
You ever seen the behind the scenes video? I'm sure you have.
Where the sirens go off in
London,
they
blow the gates off.
It's bigger bang
the yard,
than they thought.
And they damage all the Dalek props, and there's sirens going off, and there's bits of the Daleks absolutely everywhere because they're just blowing the crap out of these gates.
Al, have you seen the Funko real Ghostbusters models?
I have. There's a bunch of the real Ghostbusters. Real Ghostbusters is, funnily enough, is not one of the ones that appeals to me, and I don't actually collect any of the figures for Ghostbusters.
Right.
I think I've said before, I'm kind of, with me it's props and stuff. So and because you've met me, but I've got 3 proton packs at the moment, and I kind of feel like that's enough. Plus, I've got a wife who wouldn't tolerate me putting figures out anywhere. So
I mean, I'm very lucky. I've got my shelf of shit here, as it's called, and
is that what it's affectionately
affectionately
if
called,
Father called it that, he'd have had a go at me.
So I saw the Funko Ghostbusters in the local comic shop, and they've got plug-in proton rays and a little. I think they come with a ghost. I thought they're quite cool.
Saw that. They're quite good. It's funny. I mean, I think for the most part, the quality on toys these days is just marching uphill. I mean, I do cite ours and everybody else's having just slagged off the Ghostbusters stuff, but they're newer figures versus the stuff they were doing. So I think everybody's in the same boat. The technology and the demand for detail and kind of stuff is sort of it's pushing uphill. And I've said before, one of the reasons those Cybermen look so good is because you can't on one hand be making high end, as good as you can Vortex editions and putting crap through B&M. You can't tell a factory make this good and make this rubbish. It just doesn't work. So if they're making something on one production line that is like this, then they're making whatever they're doing for B&M. It's exactly the same. Yeah. So everything's getting, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it kind of works, isn't it? Yeah. I'm over time, so I'm going to have to shoot a bit. So shall we do very quickly our time-space visualizer? The time-space visualizer. Yes, this is our special feature, the Time-Space Visualizer, in which we talk about lots of lovely stuff that we've been doing outside the worlds of Doctor Who. And given that we've already had a massive argument about cinema, and we talked about Funko Pops and Mission Impossible and various other things, is there even room for a Time-Space Visualizer? Well, yes, there is, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go round the room. Starting with Al this time. What have you been watching, listening to, playing, messing about with outside of Doctor Who for the last few weeks?
Right, 2 things that I can recommend. Go for it. The first was Mobland, which is an Apple production with Tom Hardy in it. And
Apple look good at
that
stuff.
It's absolutely fabulous. Basically, it's the usual thing, and then it's produced, or one of the execs is Tom Hardy and one of the execs is Guy Ritchie. So you know what territory you're in. But it is absolutely brilliant. I think it's a 6-part or an 8-part series now. I really, really enjoyed that. It's quite hard hitting. It's not good because the next one's even hard hitting. But it's quite hard. It's quite hard hitting. It's very much familiar territory, but the story's good, and the acting is fabulous, and Pierce Brosnan's in it, Helen Mirren's in it, and
a lot of big names, isn't it?
Weirdly, it's one of those ones, when I saw the advert, I was like, that doesn't float my boat at all. And then when I actually ended up watching it, I kid you not, I caned it in. But the one, funnily enough, that everybody can get access to, because Apple is a bit tricky, is Irvin Welsh's Crime.
Oh, I've seen that.
Series 1 is on Netflix. And Series 2, unfortunately, is on ITVX. It's an ITVX production.
Yeah.
And ITVX is a bit of a pain in the arse, but I would say bear with it. But that series is far and away probably the best thing I've in a long time. It is really hard-hitting. It's set in Edinburgh. It's a crime series. Doug Ray Scott, who was in Hyde, is the main detective. He's battling addiction issues and some severe mental issues and trauma, which you find out on from his childhood. But oh my God,
good!
It's unrelenting, and it's essentially about the first one is essentially about children being murdered. And it's not pleasant, and then counterpointed by Doug Ray Scott going through alcohol and drug issues. It does not. It's Irvin Welsh, so you know it's not.
It's not going to be.
It does not.
It's not going to be a light-hearted romp, is it?
But it's absolutely brilliant. And Series 2 is, like I say, Series 2 is a harder watch, but it's a harder watch only because it's on ITVX. Which is
so physically a harder watch, rather than
physically harder watch because there's some weird thing on
the UK's freshest streaming service,
where the longer you watch a program, the sound goes out of sync with the video. It's
really
annoying.
So, well, one of my daughters.
It's a horrible platform. But if
I'm
you
not a fan of it.
If you watch Series 1 on Netflix, I guarantee you'll want to watch Series 2 on ITVX, and it is worth trudging through. It is unrelentingly horrible, unrelentingly brilliant.
Mesmerizing. Can't tear yourself away from it. Yeah,
just fabulous. If you and for all the it's obviously got a few Scottish accents in there because it's set in Edinburgh. It's not too difficult. So that was me. That's what I've been watching.
Brilliant.
What have you been watching?
Me, actually, not a huge amount actually, because I haven't really had an awful lot of time. But what time I have done, I've actually started playing Fallout 4, which is like an ancient old game. I downloaded it ages ago when it was on sale, and I haven't touched it on my Xbox at all until I saw it advertised again, because it's like the 10th anniversary, I think, or something like that, Fallout 4, and they've redone it with graphics, so there's an upgrade pack and stuff. So I thought, I'll knock it on and have a look, because I haven't been on the Xbox for a little while. So I loaded it up, I started it, and I thought, because it's got a lot of critical acclaim. There's a lot of people who've played it, reckon it's great. But I do remember trying to play Fallout 3 and not getting on with it. So I thought I was kind of went into it a bit on the fence. But I actually really love it. It's actually really, really good. I've managed to get into it, and it's a lot of fun.
I didn't realize we were covering games. I've been doing
games as well, mate.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the
that
PS5.
Is brilliant.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Oh, mate, I played that last year, and it is as far as I'm concerned, the official sequel to Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's just brilliant, all of it, start to finish. Yeah.
So what was it? Is Fallout 4? Because that's quite old. Have they just
really
updated the graphics?
Yeah, I think there's maybe a frame rate change as well, and a few little tweaks here and there. But it's not a massive overhaul. I think there's like a content pattern, like creator content and stuff like that, which I'm not that fussed about. So essentially, the game is still the game that it was like years ago. So
it's like 10 years old.
It is 10 years. So it was it's like a 10-year kind of anniversary upgrade / refresh or something. But I mean, I loaded the one that I'd installed like years ago, and that just kind of went straight into the upgrade option. Yep, click that, pay another $5 or something, and then it did it, and then away you go. So it was and I'm enjoying it. I just love those open world type RPGs. You know, Skyrim, Indiana Jones. Star Wars Outlaws is another one I love. You know, even
Outlaws I downloaded and I played about 5 minutes and then I bailed on it. But actually, I may go back to it because I didn't give it a fair crack of the whip. But you reckon Outlaws is worth playing?
I think it is. They've again. That's another one that's been updated. So when that was first released, it was a really quite ridiculously tough stealth game as soon as you start shooting anything. But if I mean, Indiana Jones is predominantly a stealth game anyway. Once you start shooting someone, it's almost like, well, kind of giving up really. You know, that's the easy, but it's not easy because then everyone piles on you. And it was the same with Outlaws, but they've tweaked that a little bit so it's not quite as unrelenting. You know, if you so much as like sneezed or moved your controller stick slightly too fast in that, everyone would pile in. But actually, it's a lot better since the upgrade. So, but definitely, because once you get your speeder bike and go around Tatooine and all kinds of places like that, and the story really opens up, cool. And you're a bit more powerful. You've got a few more things to play around with. I think you've got to give it a couple of days before you knock it on your head.
Yeah, I didn't get far enough. I was so absolutely rubbish. But like, I hadn't really played any games for. Best part of 20 years, and Indiana Jones was the first one that kind of dragged me back into gaming.
Did you finish it? Did you get through the whole thing?
Yeah, I've done it twice, and I've played the sort of Adventure Plus game. I literally go back in just to kill Nazis.
I love the Vatican part of that game as well. You know, I mean, you've got the pyramids and various other things, but you know, Berlin.
You've learned all the punch techniques. You can take out so many people. I think I killed 18 people one after the other on the stairwell of the Vatican.
Yeah, go back to the Vatican once you've leveled up a bit and just flatten everyone.
Oh my God, it was just carnage.
What about you, Mr. Geoff? What have you been up to?
Not an enormous amount. In preparation,
Flying for Dummies.
I've been reading that.
Another Avatar thing.
I wish. So that fills in some of the stuff from the second film, and I haven't really watched anything.
Oh,
just been doing a bit of work over the evening. Usually
is that a graphic novel?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Which one is it? Avatar, what is it called?
It's called
Do you find it easier with pictures rather than words?
I do, yeah. You know, I'm quite simple like that.
Hey, we all get to that age. We're all on the way there, if not already.
So,
and is it? I mean, most graphic novels nowadays are actually pretty worthy, kind of in their own right. Is it? Does it do a good job?
Yeah, it does. I think it fills in. Kind of more about how Jake, Sam Worthington's character feels, about his kind of, people viewing him as this great hero, but he doesn't like that kind of pressure and doesn't feel like he's up to it. So it's quite good for that, and I think it's kind of just helping to build up even further the kind of the warring element between the humans and the Na'vi and stuff, and flesh out the family relationships and stuff, knowing what happens at the end of the second film. This is kind of playing with things.
Are you excited for the third film, or are you slightly worried that
there are some silly questions?
Why are you asking that as a question? Am I excited?
Only in that can you see? I guess what I'm asking is not. I mean, obviously you're excited for it. I guess what I'm asking is there any concerns in the back of your mind that it might go one way or the other, and that it might not end happily, or because it is essentially conflict driven, isn't it?
Yeah, so. It is. Yeah, I think this is sort of the last part of this kind of chapter of the story. I wasn't sure it would have as an emotional end as the second film did, but seeing reviews and stuff, I think that's not going to be the case. And having seen a photo of 2 of the actual cast coming out of their first full screening of it in tears, I thought, right, well, I think we kind of know where this is going. But I have absolutely no doubt that, it will deliver for me, and that, Cameron is so in charge of this world and this universe, and I'm here for the journey and trust what he will do with it. Yeah.
And I guess my second question is, do you, obviously each iteration, and it's been quite a gap, there's a technological leap in terms of the technology behind these. Does that make them incrementally better as well each time?
I think there's certainly between the first and the second film, the sort of graphical developments and the underwater stuff particularly was, ironically groundbreaking. There's perhaps less so of that in this one, but I think they've gone even bigger in terms of kind of just the scope of it, and the creatures and what's on screen at any one time and stuff.
And maybe a positive, because that tends to mean that you can't get away with smoke and mirrors, and you've got to make the story work.
Well, the whole thing though is about these characters and this family, and what happens to them, and as much as Cameron loves the tech and the visuals and stuff, it's all
story, isn't it?
It's all about that, and it's mad, really, that you can feel so invested in characters that are digital, but it's down to the writing and the performances of them, and honestly, that second film, it just the last 20 minutes of it, it's just incredible. You go from this phenomenal action stuff to just awful kind of emotional stuff, and he handles it so well. Cameron, he's just incredible. Yeah. So I'm fully
stoked.
Yeah, I'm expecting a top tier female villain in the new one, in Varang, an absolute psychopath, and to see Quaritch go native now that he's got his Na'vi body. There's various plot threads that were left unresolved in the second one that I'm looking forward to see get resolved, and new things open up for the next
month. When is it out again? When is it coming out?
Next
before Christmas,
Friday. So I'm going
19th.
At midnight on Thursday. Yeah.
Ooh, hey, good fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what you make of that.
Morning. Emotionally wrung out.
Yeah, I've got to go to work the next morning. I'll be ruined.
He will be a mere shell of his former self.
So I need to start my sleep training.
Handset.
Yeah.
We don't want any.
We don't want that kind of fallout. Thank you very much. Listen, guys, I'm going to have to shoot off.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I can hear sick children, and it's
no.
Okay.
So I'm thinking I need to run as well.
Yeah, it's got to be done, isn't it?
This has been great fun. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening and watching, people.
My Wrarth Warriors are just falling over.
They do have a base. They do have a base.
I know they're on the base. I just whacked them with my hand when I moved my mouse. Oh dear.
Wait till you get the next one. Wait till you get the next one.
Wow, that's so excited to see what's coming next year. Oh my goodness me. Well, you'll have to
I'm not even talking about the ones that are coming next year. The ones that are coming next year are going to people are going to lose their shit.
They're going to lose their shit.
But excellent.
The one that's coming early next year is the last one from this year, and it's going to be goody.
Oh yes,
but
of
course.
That's a cliffhanger.
We're going to finish.
It's a cliffhanger, isn't it?
It's a cliffhanger.
We will see you all very soon.
Indeed. Thank you for listening, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.